a good word, Josh. It's your boy DKB here. So Mekhi Becton recently had spoken to Newsday. They dropped a great article. It got into a lot of what's been happening, critical moments and key points from Mekhi Becton over his last 2 years, where he's essentially been out with injury the entire time. Recovery, the weight issues, the Instagram post about him being a left tackle. And to me, what particularly stood out was, some messaging he had, what felt like for the team, and why I think that the New York Jets may have potentially burned a bridge with Mekhi Becton when it comes to trying to get a secondary contract with him if he can stay on the field and he does live up to the elite left tackle billing, like me and many of us think that he can be. So let's dive into some of the points that I think were worth mentioning. The first, of course, was mentality-wise. I think a lot of us just kind of, stick to he's not on the field, so we don't see him. We don't necessarily care. We're talking about being 3 years removed from his rookie season, which was great. I think slightly overrated, but still, when we've seen him go up against the Nick Bosas and I think like the J.J. Watts of the world, we've seen him effectively stonewall them. You can't completely nullify guys like that, but he gave them all they can handle, and as I mentioned, he really actually nullified them for strong stretches of the games. And so a lot of what Mekhi Becton references in here, which, by the way, I'm going to have this in the description below. I highly recommend reading it and checking it out. They did a great job of chronologically explaining a lot of what was happening in Mekhi Becton's key points in a simplified but detailed manner that really kind of gives a fuller perspective than anything that we've seen before this. But as mentioning, the weight, I guess, is the first good point to start. We know at some point he was anywhere between, 394-ish pounds, they mentioned in the article, to about 400 pounds, give or take. And a lot of us immediately started hitting the ejecto-ceto button on him where, if he can't maintain his weight, there's no chance that we can see him on the field. We already think that, or know, a lot of his injury issues are directly tied to his weight and how much, additional stress is being put on his legs and joints, etc. With this, additional body fat and stuff that are on there that normal offensive tackles won't necessarily have to deal with to the degree that Mekhi Becton is. And so a lot of that weighed heavy on him. You talk about his first injury coming up, even the second one, and he kind of highlights the fact that he felt a lot of people discarded him right away. Maybe the team had given up on him. And, there wasn't really a whole lot of motivation, a lot of people in his corner, a lot of support, even from what I feel that was given from, the fan base, from people close to him, and then, of course, from the organization itself to whatever degree that possibly was. And so he was kind of, plenty of dark days. A lot of people, especially if their first major injury, and this doesn't necessarily apply to Mekhi Becton, but anytime there is an injury concern, especially major ones, things are dark for them. That's all they've necessarily done for the, majority of their lives up until that point. And, that could potentially snatch away that future and potential to continue doing what they love long term. So I can definitely understand a lot of the emotions and things that he would have been going through up until that point. You talk about, I think one of the next things to highlight is that when we talk about the recovery process and stuff, and this is more so of a recent thing, but he mentioned Cameron Clark, who I believe was the guard/tackle that was drafted in the same class as him, had the freak neck injury that ended up ending his NFL career extremely early. And he got in touch with his agent. His agent is the one that really kickstarted a lot of what we've been seeing in this transformational but fundamental offseason change from Mekhi Becton, which I love to see. We're talking about, and this is highlighted in the article, Mekhi Becton was somewhere in the 400 range at one point, and now you're talking in the span of, let's say, a 3 to 9 month period. Somewhere in that range, the article does quote 3 months. And maybe that's just a working relationship between him, Mekhi Becton, and the agent that Cameron Clark put him in touch with. But you're talking about Mekhi Becton losing a good 50 to 60 pounds. And, the wifey likes to watch a lot of my, 600-pound life shows and stuff like that. I see those people, especially the ones that do try to work hard, they're losing maybe 20 pounds in a good couple months. We're seeing Mekhi Becton, double, triple numbers like that. So very excited for Mekhi Becton, the person, but to see, especially after the photos and stuff, what he may do on the field when you're talking about harnessing all of that raw talent and strength that he has. After taking his offseason workout serious, can't be happier for him. So, this new mentality, all of that is tied to the agent and stuff. As I mentioned, I'll let you guys, get into all the details of the article for that. But then we get to, let's say, the Instagram post that I am a left tackle. A lot of people kind of laughed at it and all these different things, especially for a guy that hasn't been able to see the field for 2 years. And I think a lot of this is predicated on kind of what happened the season before. And this is something that I think is another huge part of this article and probably the first roadblock in what may have started, Mekhi Becton thinking about not continuing his career with the New York Jets, where he, has his first ACL tear. It's on the right side. He comes back, as healthy as far as we know. And suddenly he's being asked to play on the right side of the offensive line because George Fant has had a career season protecting the blind side. And it was supposed to be a open competition battle that ended up not being the case. Mekhi Becton did handle it well at the time, saying, kind of pulling the AVT card. He's there to do whatever helps the team the best, didn't really make a fuss or anything about it. But he did mention in the article, he made his concerns known, that he didn't want to play right tackle. He does it anyways, and then he lets the coaching staff, which is Mike LaFleur and company at the time, know that he's feeling some discomfort. There's issues with him the entire offseason. He's limping. All of these different things that we know about, or most of us know about at the time, and then he ultimately suffers the injury. And the piece that sticks out is that he said he told the coaching staff, and they essentially told him to suck it up, play through it, go out there and get it done. And the fact that kind of fell on deaf ears, I think really was kind of the first knife in the back for him. He's letting you know, and it's not necessarily an issue of he doesn't think he can perform on the right side. He's telling you he's uncomfortable because the right knee is where he's dealt with this first major injury. He's not necessarily a guy that's played right tackle a ton. And so, him feeling comfortable at left tackle, and then the fact that he doesn't want to have that added pressure on his right leg ultimately led to him kind of being injured, is the feeling that I get after seeing some of his sentiments there. So going back to the Instagram post, you get him mentioning that I am a left tackle, and he kind of, enlightens us to, everything else in terms of his mentality there. He feels like he is a true left tackle. We've seen him dominate his rookie season. And, that's just where he's going to feel most comfortable, right? He's kind of pulling the Orlando Brown Jr. on us to a certain degree. So you hope that, if he's betting on that plays out in his favor as well, which I do strongly think it will. And so, it's kind of one of those speaking things into existence type situations, I believe, right? We get the Robert Saleh comments. Things come his way. He tells him basically go earn the left tackle role. It's going to be an open competition. He's going to have to fight for his life on both sides of the line potentially. And I think one of the things, I got to try to find it real quick. Yeah, he mentions kind of being forced into the right tackle spot, getting the reconstructive surgery again. He mentions that they ask him about the coaching staff and his thoughts on it, and he mentions that, it's whatever, it's okay to me, something along those lines. And I wish with that, because that alone didn't really tell me anything. I don't know if that was in regards to this current coaching staff or if that was the Mike LaFleur-led staff, because we know there was seemingly a level of incompetence there that, we can't truly comprehend. And so if it was referring to them, makes 100% sense. I have no qualms about it. If it's the new coaching staff already, I think that's a huge red flag for us. I don't know if those are emotions that are carried over, or if that is him actually just not necessarily clicking with this new staff that has a lot more leadership, a lot more direction, a lot truer of a vision for this team. And then, of course, having Aaron Rodgers and stuff, which he's excited about, but, that helps kind of amp things up. So that is a huge red flag for me as well, if that is in regards to this new team. But I guess we won't know unless we get further clarity on that specific piece. And then the final piece, I guess, which would be what made me think that a second contract with him may be going up in smoke. They asked him about the 5th-year option being declined, and kind of what his thoughts and things are around that. And he mentions that it's just another chip on my shoulder. I've really got 1 million of them. It'll be 1,000,001. It's all good. I've been doubted my whole life. It just makes me go harder. Just keep doubting me. Just that whenever I do what I know I'm going to do, don't try to come back to the side. That's all I've got to say. So the feeling that I took away is that he does feel like he hasn't been supported by this franchise, right? It's kind of been cast to the side, and they're just holding on to him because it benefits them if things can work around. He finally has this new mentality, this new understanding about what he thinks he may be able to accomplish this season, which is to essentially become an elite left tackle in the NFL. And let's say that he does, right? He comes out there, he stays healthy the entire season. There's not a single, concern when it comes to his availability. And he goes out there and he's literally burying people in the field the entire season, and he gets an all-pro and, whatever other accolades you could possibly earn as an offensive lineman. This puts the New York Jets in an enviable situation. I've talked about it before. Is it worth trying to extend him and give him that 5th-year option, even though it'll be fully guaranteed, to see if he can keep that up for a second season? At least give him a little bit more security that the New York Jets have faith in him. Or do you take the risk of him balling out? You move up your timeline for an extension being done. Yes, you still have the franchise tag in your back pocket, but you're talking about a guy that you already have had Aaron Rodgers type level contact with at various points for us. And then suddenly you're buying into, this spectacular season that he's had, and now everybody's feeling great, and, he's wondering where all of this was in the last 2 years, where he's been trying to recover and he's been sharing his feelings and concerns, and those have been going to the wayside. So I'll leave that there. I'll let you guys check out the article. I'm very curious what your thoughts are, but let me know. Do you guys feel like a second contract is in his future, or based on what you've checked out, what you know, or your thoughts, do you feel like the New York Jets and Mekhi Becton are slowly but surely fading away from each other, and we will be looking for our new left tackle of the future again in this next offseason in free agency or the draft? But here's what your guys' thoughts are, and I'll catch you again. Peace.